Snowstorm felt a spike of guilt and anxiety for her littermates. "I miss them," said Frost simply. "I hope they know." He trailed off, but Snowstorm was pretty sure she knew what he was going to say. "I hope they know we don't blame them for Mother's death." Snowstorm hoped that too. But she didn't think it was very likely. She'd told Ghost that it was all his fault, right before he'd left. She'd said some horrible things. He would probably never know she didn't think them anymore. "Well," said a voice, "look who finally got up the courage to come back here." Snowstorm spun around and looked up to see a pair of long, fluffy tails dangling from the gnarled branches of a nearby tree. She sighed and rolled her eyes at Frost. It was the cubs born of Icebound, Brisk and Sleet. They lounged side by side in the tree, tails twitching as they looked down at the cubs born of Winter. "Funny, I don't think I've seen you up here since..." Sleet pretended to stop and think. "Oh, that's right. Since the last time one of you freaks tried the leap." "Didn't go too well, did it?" said Brisk. "Are you off to join Winter at the bottom of the maw?" Sleet sneered. Snowstorm sprang into a run. She pounded across the snow, right at the tree where the two leopards were sitting. At once, the cubs born of Icebound scrambled to their paws, ears pinned back with fear. Brisk climbed onto a higher branch, and Sleet braced himself, tucking his tail up out of reach, just as Snowstorm got to the tree trunk and made a swipe for it. "Strong words from a pair of cubs who haven't even tried the leap," Frost said evenly, following behind her at a stroll. "They don't need to leap the maw," Snowstorm snarled, pacing around the tree trunk. "Our mother may be dead, but at least we have learned to look after ourselves. These two will be living in Icebound's cave until their fur falls out." Sleet growled. Snowstorm crouched as if she were going to pounce up into the tree, and Sleet's growls turned into a yelp as he clawed his way onto the higher branch, jostling for space with Brisk. Snowstorm relaxed. "Come on," she said to Frost. "We're adult leopards now. We don't need to fight with cubs anymore." She turned away, and she and Frost set out together over the snow, ignoring the hisses of Brisk and Sleet. She'd mostly said it to annoy them, but it was true, too. On the other side of the endless maw, they would be real adults, and nothing the cubs born of Icebound could say would change that. Her heart started to beat harder as they approached the edge of the crevasse. Flickers of memory came back to her, the horrible and wonderful all mixed together. Winter's body falling from the slippery ledge. Winter fighting Icebound to keep them safe. Ghost climbing safely out of the maw. The terrible things she had said to him. She took a deep breath and raised her head. The memories couldn't weigh her down now. Even though the day was bright and the weather still, the endless maw was so deep that the bottom was wreathed in shadow. There was no sign of Winter's bones. Of course they would have been long buried in the snow by now. But Snowstorm allowed herself one glance anyway. Then she focused on the column of rock that stood in the middle of the chasm. It looked much closer than it had when she was a little cub. Confidence started to grow in her chest. She could do this. "Go on," Frost said, his ears flicking with amusement. "You go first." "You always do." She briefly licked her brother on the forehead. "I'll see you on the other side." Then she backed up from the edge, crouched, ran, and leaped. Her heart gave a thump in midair, so hard she could feel it in the pads of her paws. And then she landed in the snow on the top of the column. She didn't pause or look back, but bunched her muscles and leaped again, sailing through the air. Her front paws slammed down on the far edge of the maw, and she pushed herself forward, running a few steps into the flattened snow, before circling back to watch her brother. Frost looked very small from this side of the maw.